Right. Good evening, everyone. Or maybe
Good
good morning.
afternoon.
Toronto. Hey, Canada!
Exactly. So, very excited to see you all here today. Hello, Melanie. So, the topic of the webinar today is how to consistently generate referrals with smart systems for client management. And we chose this topic because having clients is a foundation for any business. And what we want to talk to you today about is how to turn the client management into client experience and actually why to do that, and how it could help you generate referrals and ultimately word of mouth marketing. We'll also show you the systems that will help you fulfill that promise. So just to give you a little bit of background, how we see systems and how we came about client management systems. James and I, husband and wife.
Loving husband and wife.
Exactly. No question there. We both have totally different experiences where I'm coming more from an agency background. James used to have his own copywriting business. So for me, as an employee, where we manage, as a consultants, we manage clients. We had quite a few clients ongoingly. Systems really helped us to predictably deliver the same quality and the same results, set up expectations, but also be sure that we creating that experience, creating that word of mouth marketing within the industry, and able to pick up any problems when and if they arise, or any problems with the project, or seeing where we're spending too much money or where clients not getting enough support and things like that. For you, James, I think it was a little bit different.
I think the difference, like we were discussing earlier, that in a bigger business, client experience is less about the immediate reality of generating new customers, because when it's an established business, there's already the customer base. But for a small business, very much on the ground, the reality is I need to be thinking about generating clients all the time. And my approach, as Suetta said, I was a copywriter in the bad old days. And for me, it was really just about creating an experience for my copy clients that it made the project run smoothly, but it was also being very mindful of the fact that a small business owner, or even more so a solopreneur, has very limited resources, and treating client experience as a way that I know that satisfied customer is going to go and spread the word. I mean, we're all in Facebook groups and things like that, and all you need to do is you see somebody saying, "Oh, I'm looking for a copywriter. Does anyone know someone?" And you really want to be the person that everybody in the group is typing, "Oh, yeah, go James, he's amazing. I worked with him," etc. So that's the mindset of systems for me. But it was also about maintaining my sanity, making sure that while I was working with a client, I wasn't dropping the ball on the social media side or on anything else. Like, the systems played that role for me. So it was very different approaches, but I think it's very complementary, the way we look at systems. So
it's good. Next slide.
Next slide, please.
Yeah. So
we look so thin there.
And then, working in different business settings, when we started to consider a business venture together, we were looking at things, what would that be? And we really quickly realized that systems was our passion, but also something that we could see a gap in the market in, right? And that's where we created Systems Matter and partnered up with Systems Rock, Natasha Warampiova. She's a systems consultant, where we now collaborate with her on developing Asana and Trello guides. You probably know Asana is a project management tool, so is Trello. And that's where we sort of look specifically in concrete systems, onboarding, outreach, nurturing relationships, and things like that.
Yeah, it's all those key systems that.
Yeah, while we prefer Asana or Trello, obviously the approach that we're going to show here, you can apply in any tool.
Yeah, and that's really key. It's about a systematic mindset. We talk a lot about that because tools move fast. Like Trello and Asana in the last few days alone, they've brought out some amazing new features. So it's not about necessarily staying on top of what is the latest thing where I can click here and it does this. It's about what is the systematic approach that can be applied across tools, but is also more kind of, it's timeless. Like there's aspects of client management and social media that are methodology and that will consistently get you a result. You can apply them in the tool, and as the tool moves along, things will change slightly, but the methodology will stay the same. And that's really the focus. And it's also what we're going to be talking about when we dive into the actual client management, client experience side. We're going to be looking at the methodology. So we are here with Kat today, and not with Chris, but based on the picture, it looks like they have one shirt and one set of glasses. It's one or the other.
I swear it's two separate shirts and two different glasses, but we did stand in front of the same wall.
Yeah, so
Great.
Kat, tell us a little bit about CozyCal and where you see it all fitting in and why you guys developed it.
For sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us at the webinar today. Really excited to see you guys here. My name is Kat. I'm the co-founder of CozyCal. And for those of you who are not sure what CozyCal is, it is an online scheduling tool that lets your clients schedule appointments directly on your website. And our goal is to help small business owners and entrepreneurs like you to grow. And just like James and Sarah, we are also bootstrapping CozyCal as a couple. And Chris is a developer, and I'm more running all the operations on the non-technical side. So including customer support, product management, and as well as marketing. And I feel really lucky that James and Sarah reached out to us to start this co-joint webinar, because I feel just like they mentioned, how for small businesses, it's very important to streamline your business process to make sure that you maximize your efficiency with limited budget and time and resources. And the reason we built CozyCal is because we think many people are, running their business, but also running the online portion of their business as well, because social media marketing, online marketing have become so crucial for small business in today's digital era. And we think with a simple plug-in tool like CozyCal, it can really embed as part of this whole revolution of automating your business process. So it really saves your time so that you can focus on what's important. And so today we're going to be going over some of the systematic approach you can take to help you to run your business better and smoother.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just to tell, you mentioned like how we are collaborating, and it's worth mentioning that we are both members of a community, and that's actually where we met. And it's a perfect example of how relationships and connections that you make, whether that's offline or online, are really the key. And this taps into exactly the topic that we want to talk about, which is word of mouth and how spreading the word organically and through making connections and recommendations. Like that's really the engine of it. It's not the latest hack or the latest funnel, whatever. It's relationships, and that's what we want to focus on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly where we're going to talk how to take the client from intake up to the point where they will be happy and willing to give you a referral, a testimonial, and just talk about you, how amazing you are for what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So the big question. So we sent out a survey in advance, which Kat helped us with, and we got some amazing responses. We asked you guys, what is your biggest struggle with consistently generating new clients? And we're going to have a look at some some of what the answers were, yeah, I mean, as I say, it was illuminating. These are a few of the themes that came up. So there is a poll beneath here, and we would love you to let us know, what is your biggest struggle when it comes to generating new clients? I think it's kind of, we were talking about it yesterday, it's kind of the table stakes for being in business. Like, clients, paying customers, they are the lifeblood of a business. And being able to generate them consistently, it's really where it all starts. So we would love, Melanie's number one, knowing where to find the right people. Yeah, that's pretty tough. And it, like, with so many of them, the answer is knowing your target audience, isn't it? It's like, that's one message you get sick of hearing. But yeah, so it's knowing where to find the right people, whether it's keeping your leads coming when you're swamped with client work, knowing what actions will predictably generate clients, and predictably is the magic word here, or it might even be all of the above. And if it's none of the above, let us know as well in the chat. We'd love to hear what it is for you.
Oh, we have answers here.
2s and 3s, 1s, number 3s, number 1. No number 4s. That's good. So let's dive into what we're actually going to be talking about today. So you are in the right place if you think your business would benefit from a consistent flow of clients. Like, I think we'll all say we definitely benefit from that. Secondly, a systematic approach, and that's about predictability, knowing the steps to take that will reliably get you to the result. And also, if you are looking at creating a share-worthy client experience, so that's going to be leveraging word of mouth and getting referrals coming in. And tell us what we're going to have after the workshop.
So after the workshop, you'll have 4 systems that will allow you to take your client from the onboarding up until the point of them being ready to give a testimonial, a good one, as well as be willing to do that free marketing for you and talk about your services. And, you know, the system, as we mentioned at the very beginning, the system will really allow you to transform that relationship of aftercare into an experience that matters.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, as you say, there with aftercare, it's like it's really a perspective shift from thinking about client work as an afterthought and moving it more into an experience. And we're going to be looking at that in depth. So let's have a look here. So another question for you. Tell us in the chat how, if any of these sound like you, or perhaps again, all of them might sound like you. Do you feel that you're pulled in multiple directions by all of the things that you have to do in your business on a daily basis? There's all those spinning plates and moving parts. Whether you feel like, and this is a real pain, I think, for smaller business owners, is dedicating hours and hours to answering prospect questions, going back and forth in email, even drawing up like custom quotes for people, and that doesn't turn into a client. And you're like, I've literally spent 3 hours on this and I get nothing out of it. Is it 3 that you're stressed about things falling through the cracks, whether that's like emails or even client opportunities as a whole? Or that your pipeline stops filling the moment you stop working on it? And I think that's the spinning plate problem. Like, you turn your back and all you hear is plates hitting the floor and smashing, which is disastrous. Or number 5, all of the above. And again, I'm pleased to say no 5s. So that's a good sign.
But it seems like number 4 is pretty common.
It's pretty common, yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, Kat and I, we sent out the survey, and we asked, what is your biggest client management struggle? And some interesting answers. So there was everything from an actual process for onboarding clients to inefficiency in the sense of taking a lot of time with each client and therefore getting bogged down and not being able to work efficiently with your clients. There was quite a lot of worry about missing steps in the delivery process. And that, I think, reveals a desire to provide the client with an excellent experience. But there's a bit of worry about, am I going to miss anything? And again, systems are going to be the solution here. Keeping track of everything and also getting new leads whilst juggling the actual client work. And what we found, and I think it's actually kind of encouraging, is that they are variations on a theme, And when you really break it down, there's just a few common struggles. So while every client management issue will present in a different way, it'll likely either be a worry about consistently generating new high quality leads, making sure nothing falls through the cracks in one way or another, or not knowing what steps will actually result in clients. So that's really a clarity issue, which again, I think is a big issue for a lot of people. So why is a system the solution? I mean, we are Systems Matter. We talk a lot about systems, but it's for good reason. And we think they are the solution to all of those common struggles. And that is because a system gives you a structure and it gives you those predictable steps that you want to have and know that if I take step A, B, and C, I'm going to get a certain result. And that's absolutely priceless to have that. It gives you the confidence that taking those steps will get you that result that you're after. It also frees you up to focus on the key thing, which is your client experience, rather than worrying about what's getting missed. And we're going to talk about the 4 steps today, and you can already see them on the screen there. So it's intake, which is that initial contact with you, to onboarding, so having a process and a system for bringing the client in a way that really just blows them away, frankly. Client management, so working effectively with the client, managing expectations and delivering the value. And finally, getting the testimonials and referrals, but not leaving it up to chance, not going, oh, I'm going to be so good at what I do that they won't be able to help themselves spreading the word. Sure, that's going to happen, but also we want to be systematic about getting those referrals and ensuring that they actually happen. So the big question and the kind of elephant in the room that we have to look at, first of all, is what is a system? So I think system is kind of a big word at the moment. People are talking about systems a lot, but I think there's also some confusion about what it means. And we're big believers in keeping things as simple as possible. And really, when we break it down, a system is nothing more than a sequence of tasks that takes you from current point A to desired point B. And it's not just from A to B kind of roundabout way. It's very intentional. And what makes it that sequence a system is that it's easily repeatable and produces the same outcome time and time again. And as you can see, the objective here is to create a customer experience. And in this case, the system you see there is a kind of a circular system that feeds into each piece feeds the other pieces. And it starts with that intake, goes into onboarding, client management, testimonials, and referrals, and it just keeps going round and round. And that's what we want to create and end up with that full pipeline, perpetually full pipeline as well.
And as we discussed earlier, we constantly blog and post on social media, trying to find new clients somewhere else where we actually have the clients that can bring clients already. So our intention today is sort of show you how your clients can generate you.
And we were saying as well that it's about looking closer to home. Like we always cast the net out there thinking, oh, there's lots of clients, I can get them out there. But it's so much easier to work with people who already know the value that you deliver and how you work. It's far better for them to be spreading the word about you than for you to be casting a net on Twitter. So the big question, yes.
I was about to say, the big question, why should you care about client experience? And once we get a client, we usually think about it, now client management comes into play. And it's almost like an afterthought, aftercare, and it does have a sort of negative connotation in itself. So just think for a moment, what if you woke up today and starting your new working day and you had a clarity in where your projects are, where are your clients at, and what are the expectations, what are the deliverables, and whether you're meeting the deadlines or not. And then think about what your clients had the same clarity with the project, when they're going to receive their website, their copy, or whatever it might be. And that's exactly why we talk about client experience as opposed to client management, because once both sides have the clarity, for you come across like a pro. People see the credibility in you. They know what to expect from you. And with that expectation and certainty of the quality, they will refer you because they know what their friends will receive from you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they'll have the confidence that you're going to deliver and deliver because people, like, everybody's had a horror story. Everyone's had a horror story where they've recommended somebody and the person they've recommended has either completely ghosted on them or they've been a disaster or something like that, and it doesn't reflect well on you. So when you have that structure in place, they feel confident that they can spread the word about you, and it'll actually make them look better for having delivered something to them that was of value. And that's, that opens the gates to referrals happening.
And usually, we haven't talked about the statistics, but people tend to trust their friends, and that's the number one referral source. What was it? 92% will trust a friend, as opposed to
25% who will trust what we say about ourselves in our marketing messages. So 92% will take the recommendation from a friend that if they say you're good, versus you spending so much time and effort talking about
money.
Definitely money. Talking about yourself on Facebook ads and I'm the solution, this, that, and the next thing. It's just crazily inefficient. So we're going to be looking today at a simple 4-step approach that's going to get us to that end result of a remarkable client experience and a consistent flow of referral clients. System 1, intake, as we already mentioned, and Kat's going to be telling us a little bit about that first point of contact and why it's so important to make a first impression that blows people away. And a tool like CozyCal is key to that. The second system we're going to look at, onboarding system. This is about setting expectations, establishing ways of working, and the client knowing what's going to be happening so that both parties know what to expect. Because the interesting thing is that most dissatisfaction on a client side, and in fact from the service provider side, doesn't come from the end product not being exactly what was originally envisioned or promised. Rather, it comes from expectations not being met. So if you're actively able to be kind of agile and manage expectations, and even if deadlines shift and things like that, provided you have a system in place where you can manage those expectations, the end result is going to be absolutely fine. So third one, client management, and that's working inside a project management tool. Our favorites are Trello and Asana. They seem to appeal to different people. Like Trello has a leaning towards the more visual people, more creative types. Obviously, that's a oversimplification, but an Asana, it seems to appeal more to the linear types who like to just see those to-dos getting ticked off one by one and just kind of falling. So we use both for different applications, but I think
I love Asana.
Yeah, she absolutely loves Asana. And it's really about having that client management system and a project management system where the client feels at home, they feel like they know what's going on, and they know how to get to the end result. And then the final step, the final system is the active gathering of testimonials and referrals. And we're going to walk you through those.
And I think the final one, the testimonials and referrals, it's key to systematize it and make it intentional. Because once it's intentional, that's when you have a record, that's where you incentivize your current clients that go and talk about you.
Yeah, I mean, you could make systems 1, 2, and 3 work fantastically, and you would start getting number 4. But if you're intentional about it, you're just going to get so much more results out of it. So system number 1, which is the intake system that we talked about, and basically, like, let's look at a typical scenario that happens online. Somebody's looking for a solution that you provide, and they'll find their way to you online. And the typical website might have an email address on it. And the person gets in touch, sends you an email, "Hi, so-and-so, I'd like to find out a bit about your services." And so a back and forth email chain begins. And it's super inefficient. It doesn't make you look particularly professional. So having a system for intake that is repeatable and automated as much as possible, that's really going to make you look the part. It's going to simplify things, and it's going to make you a lot more efficient. And that's things like scheduling of the initial consultation call, having an intake form, and eventually
you potentially could have a questionnaire there. The flow might differ a little bit, but the standard procedure would more or less be like that.
Yeah. So Kat, tell us a little bit about this, because I know this is something you guys have been working on, and we love how you have the intake forms inside CozyCal, but also the Zapier integration and how that works for you.
And you also said you talk to a lot of customers.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would be great to hear.
Great. Yeah. So we actually launched Zapier about a month ago. And for those of you who are not sure what Zapier is, it's a web app that allows you to connect other apps that you use and trigger specific actions every time a specific event occurs. So first of all, let me just quickly walk you through how it exactly works and how it helps with, after you collect all the information from the intake forms within CozyCal. So what you can do is, first you have to register for a Zapier account, and they do have a free account that allows you to set up single step triggers, which I'll be elaborating here. So first you choose the tool. In this case, it will be CozyCal. The second is you set the trigger. And the third is you trigger the action. So let's look at the picture on the slide. So on the left-hand side, you have a trigger. In this case, it will be a new guest who schedules an appointment with you through CozyCal on your website. And once you used Zapier to zap or connect to CozyCal with the target apps, then you can make it to trigger an action. For example, you can create a new roles for new guests in Google Sheets. You can also receive SMS notifications for new guests. If you use MailChimp, then you can add new guests to the mailing list, so you don't have to enter them manually every time. And of course, Asana, everybody's favorite. You can add new guests to your current list. So you can continue to, plan your workflow around those new guests. And then the last one is you can import leads to your CRM platform. In this case, I use Clio, which is a CRM platform for law firms.
Yeah, that's awesome. And with Zapier, I think there's like 700 plus apps that
Exactly. Yeah, and it's ever expanding.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome tool, and it's something that we use a lot, and we actually want to show you an application of how we use it in Asana. So this is actual screenshot. You can see that Kat's booked an appointment with us based on this slide. But basically what you're seeing here is we've set up our CozyCal, including the intake form that we have on our website. Somebody comes along to the website, they want to chat to us, have a consult call about their systems. So they fill in the details there, and using this integration between CozyCal, Zapier, and directly into Asana, the fields that you see there are feeding directly into a new task in Asana. And that means that it automatically populates the name, email address, the time zone of the person who's booked, the appointment time, all of those things. So this is just an example of how using systems, Valeri loves Zapier, we love Zapier. It is an amazing tool, and it's actually very simple when you get down to it. But this is an example of how you can use an intake system to simplify things. This is Asana. It works equally well in Trello. We use it in both. And that's really the beauty of it. There's that flexibility. And your consultation call is booked now because the appointments come through CozyCal, and it's also created a new task in Asana, and you're ready to move forward. Curious why it goes right into Asana since they're just a prospect. Wouldn't it be better? Well, that's an interesting question. Valeri's asking why it goes into Asana rather than into a CRM. And we actually use Asana as a CRM. So what's great about tools like Asana and Trello is that they can be bent to purpose. And that's really something that we focus on a lot, is that we take the approach of let's minimize the number of tools that we have and places where our work happens, bring it all together as much as possible. And Asana and Trello are both perfectly serviceable CRMs. When you start to getting to big volume and numbers, then maybe you want to be looking at a dedicated CRM. But Asana does a great job as a sort of agile CRM. So the second system is onboarding. Now, you'll see the workflow on this slide, that it's going from initial contact that they make with you through into having something like a welcome package. And here it's about setting expectations up front, clarifying the processes in which you'll work together and deliver. And this, again, a perfect example of what you might have in the welcome package that sets expectations, establishes the workflows that you'll be using, is doing a kind of a over-the-shoulder recording of how you work in your project management tool, whether it's Asana, Trello, whatever it might be. You have setups of a standard template for project work with a client, and you set the expectation by having that onboarding process where you have the video explaining exactly how you're going to work, when you're available, when you're not available, what are the ways that you're going to communicate. Are we going to keep it inside Trello or Asana versus engaging in endless email chains? So it's things like that where both you have clarity on what you expect from your client and the client has the same. And having that in your onboarding process is setting up your client and setting the project up for success.
And
so
that's the clarity that
you were talking about. Yeah, it's having that clarity really makes all the difference. And again, you'll see here that it's about it being a repeatable process. So you don't want to be reinventing the wheel every single time you have a new client coming in. So it's about documenting what are the steps that happen every single time and laying it out so that you don't have to think about it the next time it happens. You just have the tools set up, you have the automations set up, and everything can just happen in the same way every time.
But it's also, as you said, it's about the flow. What are your consultations about? What is going to happen on the first meeting? What is going to happen on the second meeting? So on and so forth. And when I used to consult clients in the agency, it was as easy as really copying the template. The steps were already there. You're just filling the client. You fill the milestones or deliverables or whatever else it might be, and you share that with the client. You add the client to a project, to a task, and you just write an initial welcome email, and they already have an experience. Wow, is that all I'm going to get?
Yeah.
And that's exactly that clarity and that expectation gap that you will close with the process.
Yeah, and as you say, like you were saying about a project template, for example, in Trello, you would have a board template that is pre-set up. It's got all of those steps in it. It's got those pre-populated template emails that you send at every stage. It's pre-populated with your welcome packet, all of those things. So every time somebody comes in and your inquiry consult call is booked, you know exactly what to do and everything is on hand. You copy that board, you copy that project, rename it, and everything's in place. So that's really, again, it's about maximizing your time and being able to spend your time and energy on the things that are variable each time rather than on the things that have to happen every single time.
And that's actually where experience comes in, because all the technicalities you have in place, and that's where you have time and sort of energy to provide the experience as opposed to thinking of the steps.
Yeah. Well, there's a theory that it's not a theory, it's fact that we have limited amount of energy in every day. And it's really thinking about it as if you are a battery, You're going to be fully discharged at the end of every day. What are you going to put your energy into? Doing the same thing repeatedly, having to rewrite the email for welcoming your client? Or is it going to be, what can I do to delight this client based on who they are and what is important to them? I'm not going to be rewriting a welcome package. I'm just sending that out, and then I can focus on the client. So that's a key part of the onboarding system. Third one is the client management system. Now this, I think a lot of the time we kind of just jump straight into system number 3 and think, right, they signed the contract. Now we are managing the client. And as Sweta said, it's about a paradigm shift and a perspective shift away from the client is an entity to manage, and rather seeing it in a way that's beneficial to both parties. Like there's nothing negative about seeing your client as your best marketing asset, because at the same time, the process that you're adopting there is about delivering value to them. So it's really a win-win situation when you focus on client experience.
And it's also focusing on nurturing relationships as opposed to just managing the tasks.
Yeah. So client management being intentional, that's the key thing, and a systematic approach to delivering the value that you promised, the transformation that the person actually paid you for. And you'll see there's a key part here, which is intentionally seeding for the testimonial and referral process that follows. So while you're working with the client, you are kind of leading the way in that project management tool that you're using. Trello, Asana, a lot of people are using those and different ones, but you have your standard workflows and your project templates that you use every time. And a key part of this whole process of working with the client, leading towards referrals, is in the process of working with them, you actually reach out to them and say, my goal in this project is to deliver this value to you. If at the end of this project we both feel like it's been a great result and a great experience, I'm going to be asking you for a testimonial and to introduce me to some people who you think would benefit from the service that I provide. And by doing that and being intentional with it, you're setting an expectation with them again, and it's also eliminating any awkwardness that might happen at the end of the project where, would you possibly introduce me to someone? Like, it doesn't look intentional or very professional if you just throw it in at the end. But if you set the expectation early on, that's really paving the way for it. And I think something that happens a lot when it comes to working with clients is they might have some resistance in terms of coming into a project management tool. And part of this is making it as easy for them as possible. And that's where the onboarding process and the client management process interlink. You've got to be thinking about it from the perspective of, how can I make this as easy for my client as possible? How can I show them that working inside the project management system that I use is not an imposition or an additional learning curve for them? It's actually part of getting to the result that they want. It's going to be easy. I'm going to handle the heavy lifting, and they're going to get the result. And I think it would be good to hear, like, in the agency, the client management processes that you used and kind of what the outcome was for your clients versus operating out of email. Or
yeah, definitely. It was, you had one place that you can access at any time, see the progress, see the project at full length. And that was the peace of mind for the clients. They knew where we at, they knew where we at with the budget, they knew where they are with the tasks. And that, again, coming back to the clarity, it is priceless. And it wasn't very much of a persuasion process to start with. When we had new clients, we did set up an expectation saying we work with a project management software. Now I can't remember which one.
It's called Active Collab. Yeah.
Active Collab. It's pretty easy. We do it this way so you can access all of the communication and see everything up to date within a click. And it was really enough for them to say, oh, okay, I'll better do that. And also besides us saving time on emails, writing back and forth, it was also saving their time writing us emails and going back and forth on feedback and things like that. So it was really more of a positioning that this is one tool that you ever need to access, to know where we're at.
That's such a good point. Like if you come up against any objections from a client, it's a great way to position it is that, hey, using this tool together is going to be saving you money. Like it's going to enable us to put more of our time and effort that you've paid for into actually getting the work done versus digging up emails, asking where this invoice is, etc. So that's a great way to actually position it and get them to collaborate with you in the tool if you have any sort of opposition to it.
Yeah. And if you don't use a tool yet, you might want to start.
Yeah, I mean, in companies back in the past, where we just used to work out of email only, I think back to it and I'm like, how did we ever get anything done? There's BCC chains and just things getting lost. So it really is so much more efficient. Okay, so the fourth system here, and this one we absolutely love because I think it's a bit of an unconventional approach to things. In that we are advocating being very intentional about gathering testimonials and that leading to referral business. So in the steps that you've had so far, where you've gone 1, 2, 3, intake, onboarding, and working with them, you have delivered the value, you've impressed the client, but we don't want to leave referrals to chance. So as Shweta said, we've looked at those statistics. 25% believe what you say about yourself, 92% what others say about you. So we really have to leverage referrals and using a systematic approach to requesting the introductions and the referrals. So as we said, during the onboarding and the client management process, you set the expectation that you will be asking for a referral, for testimonials, and the workflow could look a little bit like this. So you can see create a template. So the template there that we're talking about, that can be in Asana or in Trello, and it's a template for a workflow where you first of all have the saved emails that you're going to send to every client as you come to the close of your project. And you're going to say, I've really enjoyed working with you. I'm so glad that you've got results X, Y, and Z. And obviously it's going to be personalized to what results they got. It would be fantastic if you could write a test or to have a testimonial for you where I can showcase the results that you got. And a great way to do this is to make it as easy as possible for the client by sending them a survey, a feedback form, and the answers that they send back to you, you can then turn that into a testimonial that you write for them, send it off to them and say, I've put this together. Are you happy with what I've created here?
And again, it could be a form that is already a template. It
absolutely should be, yeah.
Where in the end of it, you ask, can I use it as a testimonial? So every time you need to collect a testimonial, it's not a newly written form. It's just a link.
Yeah, it exists on your website. It can be embedded in your website. And you use the templated emails that you've pre-written to request them. You turn that into a testimonial that you send back and say, are you happy with this testimonial? Would you like to make any changes to it? And you then, the next step is, can I use it on my website and in my marketing materials? So you would use it in that way. And then thereafter, you're following up with them with another email and saying, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you. And are there any people that you feel I should be introduced to who would get value from in the same way, who would benefit from the work that we've done together? And asking for the introduction to be made, that's really the way to be intentional about it, requesting the introduction. And I think that once you have those 4 systems put together, you start to see the flow that we showed earlier, that circle of it being delivered.
Yeah, and that's again clarity and intention. Once you have the system that is seamless, automated, and you know what you are delivering, your clients know what to expect from you, you sort of create that experience yet again, where it becomes an experience, not a management job.
So, I mean, very briefly going through a case of what this might look like, that client intake form embedded on your website. Person comes along to the website, fills in the form, and requests to have a consult call with you. You look at the intake form answers. You see if that person is a match and whether you would be ideal to work together. If so, you have your onboarding process. You work with them in your project management tool of choice, following a set of steps and a project template. When you are finished with the project, you request feedback. That becomes a testimonial that you use on your website, in your marketing materials, and you then request an introduction. And that basically feeds all the way back. And again, we have that sort of vicious circle of success where the good work that you're doing for people, the value that you're delivering, is turning back into more and more clients. And you're not having to focus on ad spend or anything like that.
And of course, that could work for products as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It works for a product-based business in the same way. And yeah, here we can just see really a visualization of how the 4 steps all work together, and it just keeps going round and round. So in summary, having the intake system, adding to that the onboarding, the client management, and the testimonials and referrals, the results that you're getting, you're streamlining the whole process of all of those steps, really. A key thing that we haven't mentioned yet is that you're simplifying delegation as well. What systems enable you to do is you break down the steps that make up each process, and you can then say to your VA or to your team members, for example, you handle this piece, you handle this piece, and nothing gets lost in between. That boosts your effectiveness.
But also, it focuses you to get to be working on the results, to deliver the results, and that's what turns customers that enjoy the experience into
fans and referrers, basically. And the result of the whole lot, when it's filtered down, is a consistent flow of clients, which is goal number 1 at the end of the day. So where do you actually start with putting your own systems in place? It's all good having the theory and the approach, but how do you actually put them in place yourself? And for this, there's a very simple 3-step approach. We love our steps.
Yes.
We love our steps.
Systems all about simple
steps, yeah. So this applies to a client experience system, but it also applies to any other system that you have in your business. It's broken down into the simple steps of number 1, define it. So define what is the process that you're trying to systematize. And our recommendation here is always step away from the tool that you're using. And often it's just paper and pencil that you go back to, because it's more free-flowing and you can piece together what all the steps are in the given process. Document those, then come back to your Asana or your Trello and put in place a beta system. And we say it's a beta system because the final step is to tweak it. And that's because your systems and your processes will continuously adjust. You're going to be looking at what is and isn't working and taking steps out, adding steps in, passing this piece off to your VA or to your team members, etc. So it's really and this frees you from having to worry about it being perfect at the start or at any point, frankly. It's like digital ink is never dry. You can always tweak your systems.
But it's also about, sometimes you might know which system to start with, whether you have some or you just starting out. Look at it from a perspective of what is working in your business right now. Is it the consistent flow of clients, or is it webinars, or is it joint ventures? Depending what process already brings in revenue into the business, start systemizing that one. Once you put that system in place, it sort of frees you up to look at, okay, what other aspects of business are sort of working, but require a bit of attention. So, and it really depends where you are in your business, whether you're just starting out or you're already thinking about delegating, right? So that's, again, a different system to look at. Or whether it's a content creation, okay, I get leads from my blog, I get leads from social media. How can I streamline that process?
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Like, as we said at the beginning, looking closer to home for the solutions rather than looking out there.
Yeah.
And that's so good in terms of just looking at your client base and saying, where did they come from and what can I improve there, rather than what new marketing tactic can I try.
Look back at your 20 clients. Where have they come from? And explore that avenue, systemize that avenue first.
Yeah, frankly, send them a link to your CozyCal with an intake form and ask ask them to answer a few questions that that give you some insight into who they are, how they found you, and those key pieces of information. And again, you're just creating that experience. So that's a key. So now we want to chat to you. We have been talking Asana and Trello throughout, you will have noticed, and that's because not only do we know those tools inside out,
we love those tools, and we'd love to invite you to check it out for many reasons, actually. And one of the main reasons, I would say, if you're a quick starter and you really want to put systems in place quickly, let's just go through it. Depending on which tool you're using, or whether you're considering to use Trello or Asana, that gives you a jump start into setting out, sort of like going into the guide, picking the system that you need to implement, copying the template, and here you go.
Yeah. So essentially, at Systems Matter, what our focus is helping you systematize all of the key things in your business. So there are systems, everything from creating client experience to those other pieces that we mentioned at the start that often fall away. Things like your content creation, being consistent with content, even when you're busy with client work.
Yeah.
Things like outreach, keeping in touch, nurturing relationships.
That's a big one.
That's an absolutely huge one. That's such a big piece of it, particularly for small business owners. It's about relationships and being systematic with your relationships. And the way that we do that at Systems Matter is we have our 2 small business systems guides, which cover all of those areas of your business, give you a step-by-step process and show you exactly how to implement them and kind of bend those tools. Like as Valerie was saying about using it as a CRM, that's something that we cover. So it's about having a single point of truth, like you were saying about using it with your clients. When you bring everything into one tool and one place, you have that single point of truth for your entire business. And building a business hub in Asana or Trello, which again, something we cover in the guides, is absolutely priceless. So as you can see here, the 2 guides that we're talking about, Asana for small business and Trello for small business. Trello for small business, for the creatives, for even people who are super resistant to systems, which there are a lot of creative types, or systems, they absolutely cramp my style. And we say again and again, no, actually having a system will free you up to be more creative, because you know what has to happen so that you can kind of depart from that and focus on the creative sides of things. So the guide itself, as a thank you for joining us on the workshop, for the next 24 hours, Trello for small business and Asana for small business are both $199 rather than the normal $297. And that's exclusively for you guys for joining us on the live workshop. Key things, as you can see, 6 in-depth video and text modules that cover those key business systems, personal productivity, etc. The video lesson, so it's a video-led course. The Trello board templates, which in themselves are absolutely priceless. Like
but there's also transcripts, so you don't have to watch the videos. You can read the transcripts.
But we love the videos anyway. And then, of course, Trello tips and tricks, things like making your Trello work well with all the other tools, whether that's feeding your info in from CozyCal or it's time tracking with Toggle, etc. It's about bringing it all in together and making it work for you. And of course, also 2 bonuses that we have specifically for this is that we will be having a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 in this case, personalized onboarding call with you to help you basically diagnose where are the systems bottlenecks in your business, so that we can take a look inside your business, like we recommended doing, and say, where is the focus point? Where should we start? And also that includes access to our Systems Matter HQ community, which, so as you can see, module 1.
Just to give you an idea,
An
the
overview.
topics we cover in the modules.
Yeah. So Trello basics, so really getting you started with understanding the functionality of Trello as it relates to small business systems, the smart business systems and how you can create them, particularly the things here like blogging consistently, nurturing those relationships, managing clients, whether it's one-off clients or in a program, and collaborating with others is an absolutely huge one. Prospecting, onboarding clients, and collaborating with your VA, your team, etc. Personal productivity, when we say there, we mean email overload, like not getting bogged down in email. Time management, keeping track of your tasks, putting it all together, and then of course the templates.
And creating it as one business hub.
Yeah. Integrations, we're talking about the things to make it work better. Getting organized, going beyond business, because in life there are other things beyond business, we're told. And then the tips and tricks as well. And here's just a look inside what the guides actually look like. And it's very much you dive in and look at the systems that are most important to you at that time. And it's really, having that freedom to do that.
Yeah, and then depending which system you need, you just take a template and potentially tweak it to your own process, but you already have a step-by-step process in that.
Yeah. And of course, the board templates, everything from guest posting, podcasts, your weekly task list, email management, and a really valuable one is the actual business hub, where you'll have everything you need to know about your business in a single place. And also anything that your team members need to know.
Yeah.
And the amount of time that saves is absolutely insane.
I love one of the lectures there is actually how to track the progress of others. And
keep a watchful eye on your team.
Yeah, that's an amazing one. Yeah. I do that quite a lot.
Yeah, she does. And Asana, similar structure, but it's more if you have that more linear approach, or you prefer working in Asana. It's an incredible tool. Equally good for solopreneurs with a VA, solopreneurs on their own, or teams.
Yeah.
And again, video and transcripts, Asana templates, which are literally copy and go. You put them into your account and you are ready to roll with client work, with blogging, your editorial calendar, email management, and we love this one, which is managing online courses. So no more courses gathering dust in your hard drive. You're actually going to put them into action.
Yeah, we'll show you how you actually complete them.
Yeah, exactly. Again, the personalized onboarding call and access to the community, which is an exclusive for this. Setting up for success, again, smart business systems, personal productivity, reclaiming your time, going beyond business, and the tips and tricks. And again, a look inside the platform itself. Systematically nurturing relationships. I think this is probably my favorite system of the lot. It's the keep in touch system, which is, it's just a really genuine way of keeping in touch with people, building business relationships.
And I think it's one of the overlooked one, very much like a client management, nurturing relationships, like outreach, constant outreach, how to get those initial introductions and get into someone's circle. It's all clarity and intention again.
Yeah, again. And then, of course, the Asana templates. You see the Business Hub project. Again, that's keeping track of all the moving parts in your business, which is priceless. So by the end of the guide that you choose, Trello or Asana, you'll have that single versatile hub for your whole business, the referral-worthy client onboarding and management process, the keep in touch system that we're talking about, a predictable, reliable lead generation system, so you don't have to worry about where is my next client coming from, and an email management system that'll transform your inbox from biohazard to Zen garden. And of course, a whole lot more than that. The instructors, ourselves, Sveta and I, we guide you through, we handle your getting started call, as well as being the hosts in the Systems HQ community. And also, as Sveta mentioned, Natasha Vorampiova, who is systems consultant and the owner of Systems Rock, guides through a lot of the videos and just has incredible insights into the ways to manage systems in a way that works with your personality and your preferences. Now, Kat, also tell us a little bit about CozyCal and the offer that you guys have got going at the moment.
For sure. For CozyCal, we want to thank workshop attendees by giving you a 20% off of any subscription of the Pro plan that you choose. And what CozyCal contains, it's a free plugin that you can install very easily on your website. It comes with a 10-day Pro plan trial. And after 10 days, if you decide to upgrade to the Pro plan, it includes a whole bunch of features, including everyone's favorite Zapier integration. So you can zap CozyCal with Asana or Trello or any CRMs of your choice. And you can also receive payments directly on your website through Stripe integration. And in addition, you can set unlimited appointments or service types based on the scale of your business.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a really, really cool tool. So I think that brings us to the questions. If anyone has any questions about any of the systems we mentioned, about the guides, about CozyCal, please do ask away. One question that we had in advance that I really just wanted to quickly look at was Grace asked us how she could manage clients who basically said that the only way I want to work with you is one-to-one. And she wanted to know how she could leverage her time more, because she is a solopreneur, and how systems could help her manage that all more efficiently. And we were discussing it, and the approaches that we came up with, there are two ways. I think the first one was to look at it in terms of, if your clients were only happy to work with you on a one-to-one basis, then the approach would be to say, let me look at the rest of my business and what are the systems that I can implement there to speed up all of the other things that need to happen, so that I can dedicate more of my time to working with them one-to-one. The other one that you suggested was kind of...
Yeah,
well,
I said that there are certain steps in one-to-one process, whether it's, again, initial setting up expectation, how the consultation or meeting will go, some steps in between that one-on-one meetings could also be systematized.
Yeah, for sure. And Melanie's asking any suggestions for how to get people to send back the feedback form by a certain date without being pushy. We always recommend someone going around with a baseball bat. No, but seriously, I think people are very busy. Inboxes are super overcrowded, and that is a reality of it. I think even with the best intentions that people want to get back to you and give you the feedback, things get lost in the inbox.
But I think it also, again, comes back to expectations. Once you onboard the client, you clearly state what is the process of how you're going to be working with them, and in there you set an expectation that you will be asking for a testimonial. And if you are to deliver on all the other expectations, clients usually will actually send testimonials even before, or ask you, would you like me to send you a testimonial? We actually had a couple of those where
we're actually continually surprised by how people will be genuinely
they will
forthcoming.
actually ask you before you ask them if they enjoyed the experience.
But in the case where people are being a little slow, the suggestion that I would make is just really look at it from the perspective of how can I make it as easy as for them as possible. So the idea there is what we suggested about keep the form super simple, and when they do get back to you, it's only taken them 2 minutes to fill it in. The job is then yours to turn those answers into a testimonial that you send off to them and say, hey, are you happy with this? So it's not, could you write me a testimonial, which they'll take time on.
But I also would minimize the steps.
Right?
Just send them one form and ask a couple of questions, and in the end ask them, would you be okay for me to use it as a testimonial? So you limit the back and forth and make it for them as easy as possible.